You're watching a classic episode of Bass Pro Shops Outdoor World Television.
Nitro Pro Kevin VanDam is wild about lipless crankbaits, and he has a few secrets to up the odds. These fast-moving lures cover water like nothing else, and with the right presentation during the right conditions, they can be dynamite. Still, the retrieve can make all the difference.
You know, my favorite retrieve is just the pull and flutter method, and that's when I get a lot of strikes, is right when I let the bait flutter. All I do is cast it out there, make a good long cast, start my retrieve, and I want to slow it down so I can get in contact with the bottom. So I just pull it, and I just reel just to keep tension on that line. I'm letting that bait actually sink when I'm reeling back towards it like that. And it's just kind of going up and down. It's fluttering. That bait will kind of turn sideways because it's flat. It'll kind of just wiggle a little bit as it's falling, but I've got tension on the line the whole time. Oh, there's a good one right there. Oh my God.
Lipless crankbaits like Strike King's Diamond Shad are also very diverse baits. They can be ripped through shallow water or slowly fished through cover and structure, as Kevin explains.
And that's one of the things that, nice one. That's one of the things that I do with the Diamond Shad a lot is, you know, if I cast it out and wind it in, it'll only go, 5, 6, 7 foot and still contact the bottom. So on a deeper edge, like right now I'm on a creek channel, you can see the timber down the way there. I can take this bait and cast it out there and let it sink down to the bottom in, say, 10 foot of water. I do it with tension on the line, and then I just kind of rip it up and let it flutter. Almost the same way you'd fish a jig or a worm, but with the Diamond Shad. And the beauty is these baits with the flat size that they have, they just really give off a lot of vibration. Not only does it have a loud rattle, you can hear the rattle, but a flat-sided bait like this really pushes a lot of water. And they just can't handle it. They just react to it. Again, I'm going to rip it up and then just follow it back down till it hits the bottom and just kind of rip it up. And the colder the water, the slower the motion. The warmer the water, the harder I generally want to rip it. I want to try to trigger a reaction out of those fish. Just constantly kind of yo-yoing it. You always have tension on your line, even when you're letting it fall, though, because that's when they're going to hit it. You're going to rip it up, and as soon as it starts to flutter, bam, that's when they're going to get it. There it is. Oh, yeah. I just love catching them this way. He just bit it on the rip again. There's a lot of grass on this flat right here. That's how you want them hooked right there with a face full of triple grips.
Whether yo-yoing cover or ripping the flats, these sleek speedsters require the right gear to be effective.
For fishing these baits, I use a fiberglass rod. I like a 7-footer, so I have real good lure control. Again, that longer rod, I can keep my rod up and keep my bait higher, or put my rod tip down and allow the bait to run a little bit deeper. But more importantly, when you rip that bait out of that grass, it gives you a lot of power, that longer rod. Now, I like a medium-heavy action. Because the fiberglass is a little bit softer, it does a couple of things for me. Most important is it has a real slow reaction time. Let's let him go. And what I mean by that is when I cast it out there and I rip that bait up like that and one bites it, it reacts a little slower, so they get that bait deeper in their mouth. And then when I'm fighting them too, that fiberglass is just a lot more forgiving. So with these type of baits, anytime I'm crankbait fishing, or especially with these Diamond Shads, it's real critical to me to be using that fiberglass rod. Now, I have a 5-to-1 gear ratio reel on here, and a lot of people really like to, oh, there's a little one. A lot of people really like to use a high-speed reel, and I think that's fine, but myself, I am so used to a 5-to-1 ratio. It brings in 20 inches of line per turn, where the 6.2-to-1 brings in 25 inches, so it's a little bit slower. It looks like I'm really cranking real fast with it, and a lot of times I am. When it's shallow, I can reel it still pretty quick, but it really helps me slow down, and that's real important. These baits are just dynamite early in the year when the water's real cold, and I tend to fish them too fast if I'm using a high-speed reel.
Kevin's gear includes a 7-foot medium to heavy action Bass Pro Shops cranking stick, Quantum E650 PT reel with a 5-to-1 gear ratio, 10-pound to 17-pound Bass Pro Shops XPS monofilament, half-ounce Strike King Diamond Shad in bleeding bait perch colors, and upsized treble hooks to #2 mustads in the red color. Nitro Pro Kevin VanDam is wild about lipless crankbaits.
There's a good one.
And with the right presentation during the right conditions, they can be dynamite.
See, when you rip it hard like that, a lot of times it trigger one to bite.
Kevin's addition of erratic action to the flashy baits trigger lots of reaction strikes. But the unpredictable retrieve can also cause near misses.
Oh, he just barely hooked too.
The proper hook can make the difference.
They're hooked like that. I like to just kind of lead them around with the rod tip in the water so they can't jump. And then bring them up and grab them just like that by the belly. And look at that, he's just by a thread. I mean, that's why you got to be real careful. These triple grips are the best hooks in the world for these type of baits, but there's still no substitute for playing the fish properly. And that's where that fiberglass rod really comes in handy. Oh yeah. Nice one. Nice one. Let's get some more. I mean, he just hammered it when I ripped it out of that grass. Oh. That's how you hook a lot of them like that too. They'll get that front hook in their mouth and the other one in the bottom. Makes them hard to get.
Matching the bait to the forage and the water condition is critical to success.
Look at that guy.
Tying on the right color can will more fish in the boat.
And right now I'm throwing this is one of my favorite colors when the water's a little bit clear. This is called a bleeding perch. It's kind of a clear water perch color. Looks a lot like a bluegill or things like that. That is the main forage in a lot of lakes. But a lot of people just tie on a blue and chrome. That's the #1 color, without a doubt, diamond shad. And I try to use colors that really match the forage and the conditions that I have. And blue and chrome is always a good color. Oh, there's a good one. And that's when you're going to put the odds in your favor. Oh, a nice fish. Boy, he's just got it swallowed, too. Just all the way down. That is a nice one. He has got it swallowed.
Kevin likes to tip the scales in his direction by upsizing the hooks.
I've switched them to these red #2 triple grips, and that is with my favorite hook. I put one front and back right on there. With these hooks right there, once you get one on, you rarely ever lose one. You can see they're pretty big, and you know, they don't really catch any more grass or anything, but that style of hook just is the very best for landing bass on these lipless type crankbaits.
While these great baits are versatile, the conditions still have to be right for best success.
You know, you don't want to throw this bait in clear water when it's flat and bright. That's not when the bass are going to be up roaming on these flats. They're going to be, you know, a lot tighter to cover then. I like to do it in cloudy days, or especially like right now we've got a good breeze blowing up here. That's all things that cut down that light penetration. First thing in the morning, late in the evening, that's when these baits are at their best. When bass are out and roaming, they're you know, just patrolling these flats looking for bait fish, crawdads, things like that. And that's when these baits are going to be at their very best. So it's always real important to me to get out a good early start and get to my best flat. Oh, there's a good one. Nice one. And one of the things that you've got to look for on these flats is some kind of irregularity. These bass aren't just always roaming just anywhere. They're going to look for little ditches and depressions, little high spots, places where the bottom consistency changes, you know, things like gravel spots, little clean areas, especially around grass. I really like to find those little clean spots.
Lipless crankbaits are the chameleons of the tackle box. With the right presentation, under the right conditions, and with the proper equipment, there are lots of ways to fish these flashy speedsters. Add some of Kevin VanDam's unique methods, and you'll be landing and releasing bass after bass.
Man, I just love catching them this way.